Good evening, this is Dwayne from CFRN with another After Dark video. Although it's not quite after dark yet. It's still light outside at 5:52 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday, April the 10th. Now I said that once I got caught up on the recap videos that I would stay current. Well, that's why I shouldn't say that stuff. Because now I'm actually a day behind because I didn't. Can I be honest with you? Can I just between you and me? I didn't feel like doing it yesterday. I know, hard to imagine. So I'm going to do 2 days. I'm going to go really quick. You're going to have to be on your toes to keep up. And we're going to do April the 9th, Monday, and the 10th, today, all in one video. And we're going to do it in under 10 minutes. How about that? You ready? All right. Let's give it a shot. I'll back up this far to show you Friday. I think we all know. I didn't even think about it. That's, remember, you know, Easter, the 3 crosses on the hill. Wow, that's quite an image. I didn't even. Obviously, there's only one cross up there, but anyway, for those of you who've read the book or seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the big slide coming into Monday, April 9th, which is what we're concerned about here. Okay, first pullback to the trigger line. What do we got? We got a new visitor from San Diego. Welcome. Okay. Let me use my WTZ tool just to highlight these prices. These are not weekly trading zones I'm showing you here. I'm just showing you where price pulled back to. Price pulled back to 1377.50. Price then dropped to 74.25. So that would have been $3.25 maximum potential from the entry, which is always known, okay, to the tick. There's never any ambiguity. Well, exactly where do I enter? It's not an area. Our indicators tell you to the tick where you want to put your entry. It's a limit order. In this market, this setup, S&P 500 Emini futures, you're going to enter on a limit. You're going to risk 2 points. You're always going to know your entry to the tick. Okay? All right. So, potential 3.25. Then what happens? Price pulls back again. That entry would have been 1376.25. And we dropped to 73.25. So the potential was there, the maximum potential. And when I say that, when I say the maximum potential, that's what you're not going to get. Okay? Some people might try to help you. Never mind. From the entry to the low was 3.25, and from the entry to the low here was 3. Altogether 6.25. Might you have been able to salvage 3 points out of that, or 4? Maybe 2 on each one. Very reasonable. That's 4 points, and the market's only been open for half an hour. This trade was actually prior to the open. Okay. All right. Now we got to wait for our next trigger. We've already had a very strong leg down, 1 leg, 2 legs, then we get a 3rd leg. Wow. Can we get a 4th leg? Not much of one. Okay, look what happened here. Price pulled back. And again, I'm not going to go through any reasons about why you shouldn't have taken this trade. My deal is just to show you the setups. Okay, pullback was the 75.50. It dropped to 74.50. Is that 1 point of travel? Yes. Is it possible that you moved your stop really quickly with some aggressive risk management, and when price pulled back, okay, our first entry was here, our second entry was here, okay, now those were both clearly profitable. This one, okay, this would be a short trade, and somebody might try to convince you that you could get a point out of that, and you know what? You might. You just might. You might get something out of it, you know. But you know me, or maybe you don't. I'm going to call it a stop out. Now the most we risk, once again, on this trade setup in this market is 2 points. Never risk more than 2 points. Period. Okay? Alright. So we get a bullish cross, we get a little rally going on, we get a pullback. Maybe the carnage is over. Maybe not. The pullback is to 76 1/4. You see this right here? 76 1/4. Let me put the yellow arrow. Gonna have a couple ticks drawdown. And from 76 1/4, price goes up to 78 right there. See it? 78. Okay. Now, that's 1 3/4 points. 1.75. 1.75. All right. Could you have possibly taken a point out of that 1.75? Yes. If you hung in for more, did you get stopped out? Yep. Is it possible that once it went a point in your favor that you aggressively managed the risk, moved your stop to break even or break even plus a tick, and you got out? Because it's 1.75, I'm going to let it sit there. I'm not going to just call it a stop out, because it is possible to manage that trade. Unlike the next trade I'm going to show you, the next setup. Okay. Bearish cross, pullback, right there. Right there. The pullback is to, okay, we're looking for a short. Pullbacks to 75.75, and it goes nowhere. There's no shucking and jiving, no trying to convince you that it did anything other than what it did. And that was a... Now, we're not looking at any of our other tools or indicators. We're not looking at the weekly trading zones. We're not looking at the cycle indicator. We're not using the DMT. We're not using the slingshot. All great tools for helping you evaluate trade entries. Okay? We're just trading this thing cold. All right. Bullish cross, pullback to the trigger line. 1377.75. Price runs up to 82.75. That is 5 points. Stem to stern. Will you get all 5? No, but you can get some of it. No, think about it. If you're on a 5-point move, could you at least get 2 points? Sure you could. 3? 3.5? Yeah. Could you let it run 5 points and then come all the way back and take you out of the game? Yeah, you could do that too. Okay. But look at this. This is just a beautiful, beautiful trade. Love it. Let's say, you know, once it started to pull back here, you said, oh, I got to get out of this thing. There's still a couple points in it. Minimum. Okay. You don't get this high or this high. Man, this thing's pulling back on you like, whoa, just get me out of here with 2 points. All right. Okay, let's keep going. Now what happens? We get a bearish cross, and we just barely get a little bit of air right there. Got to have some air, got to have a little space. Oh, let me put the arrows in. Okay, this was the entry. that produced a 5-point rally, of which you could have gotten something. Okay. Then if you were to trade this pullback right here, okay, you got stopped out for 2 points. If you're trading our system, our methodology, using our indicators, you'll never lose more than 2 points on one trade. Okay. Now, the pullback here on the short entry, it's this candle right here, 1379.75. Yeah, 1379.75, and it drops to 74.25. I better use the machine for that. 1379.75 minus 1374.25, 5.5 points. Okay. I could have probably done it in my head, but it's late. It feels late. It's been a long day. Okay, 5 points up, 5.5 points back down. That's 10.5 points. I'm sure you could have gotten something out of that. Okay. Now, this gets really kind of brutally ugly in here. But I'm going to point out that if you had, without using any verification of any kind, anything to, man, it's unusual to even see anything this bad. When it pulled back here, you got stopped out. Then you got a cross here, but you're not getting short here because you don't have any space yet. You've got no air. So this thing's pulling all the way back down here, but it never gave you a long entry. Okay, you had, I mean, this is a short trigger here. Okay, whether you take it or not, that's another story. But here, you didn't have a long entry because all of the parameters are not in place. You don't actually get your entry until over here. Now, if you don't understand, ask me in the live trading room tomorrow. Tell me the date, April 10th. Tell me the time, 4 a.m. Chicago time, and we'll talk about why there was no trade here, but there was a trade entry here, a legitimate CFRN trade entry. Okay. Now this pullback was at 77.50. This is a long entry, and it ran up to 80.75. Okay, 80.75 minus 77.50 equals 3.25 points of potential. That's from here to here. Basically, one candle. One candle, 3.25 points. Okay. Now, if you attempted to get long here on this second pullback, that entry is going to be 77.75. Let me move this over. And it's going to go up to 79.25. So that's going to be 1.5 points. Okay. I'm going to put it on the screen because it's real. But if you're in this mess, I mean, if you're really skilled, you might take something out of that. But I know that I let that 1.75 over there stand. So to even the playing field, I'm just going to call that 1.5 a stop out. You just got stopped out. Okay? Alright. Now, bearish cross. Now this looks good, okay, after the fact, and I can't tell you that I would not have taken this trade, okay, but there's no air right there. There's no space. And so by the sheer fact that I ruled this one out over here, see, I have to rule this one out. It'd be really easy to go, oh man, this is beautiful, got a bearish cross, got the pullback, there's a trigger, there's the entry. I can't do that though. I can't tell you one thing over here and then something else over here. Now, when you take the free trial and then ultimately become a partner, I can tell you all kinds of things, because that's where we begin to actually teach you how to trade. And that's different than just watching some after the fact video. So I got to keep this really clean, okay? Because we work hard to maintain our integrity in this scandalous world of Wall Street in which we wander. So, as nice as that trade is, and as great as it would be to mark it up, I'm going to let it go. Now, we do have some partners that trade this time of day, but ask yourself a question. Do you trade at midnight, at 5 in the morning? Are you up and trading before the open at 7 o'clock Chicago time? Now, for some of you, the answer to that is going to be, why, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. Okay? But the majority of folks, the answer to that is probably going to be no. Okay, there's a trigger right there. And the trade gets stopped out. Okay? Pullback, looking to go short. Doesn't happen. Now we get a bullish cross. Doji, very wary. I'm very wary personally about buying into this setup. But guess what? As basic setups go. Now, is there any movement at all? I mean, could I even measure that? I don't think so. But I'll try. 76.75 to 77.50. Yeah, 3 ticks. That dog won't hunt. Now hopefully you're starting to see why some of our other tools become valuable about helping you determine which setups are the right ones, which ones are worthy of your trade. Okay. Next setup is a bearish cross, followed by a pullback to 72.75. And this is where, through good trade management, all those little 2-point stop outs, or I want to say all those 2-point stop outs, but there was a few. I'm going to have to shrink this down so we can fit it all on the screen. Okay, the pullback was at 72.75, and if you were trailing your stop along behind the trigger line here, you may not have gotten taken out to right here. I mean, if you were following it really close, you might have got nicked right there by a tick, but that's a little too close to be following it. But let's say you were just following it down from 72.75, and let's say you got stopped out here. Okay, it pulled back. You're hugging it pretty close. 60.75. Okay, that's 12.75. $12 3/4 points potential from here to here. Now, if your stop wasn't too tight, there was the opportunity for further downside on down to 54, which is actually another 6 points. It actually went all the way down to 52.50. 72, 52, that was 20 points. So depending upon how you measure it and how you traded it, it could have been 12.75. Could have been 20. It could have been something, then something else, then a little bit more. Okay, because all you had on the way down were sell signals. Starting here, first one came right here, and then you had another one here, another one here, another one here, and it just kept going. No long trigger there. Another short one there. And no long trigger there because the setup's not there. Now the next setup that actually qualifies to be called a setup would be, got a bearish cross, got a pullback. Would be this one right here. Okay. Now the pullback was to 1355.75 and price dropped to 1353. So there was 2 3/4 points of potential there. 2.75. From there, you had a little bit of a drawdown. You had about a point of drawdown, maybe a point and a quarter, and then ultimately price dropped a maximum 2.75. So maybe you got something out of that. If you tried to short this pullback right here, that went from 55 down to 53.75. That's 1.25. Okay, so there was 1 1/4 points of potential there. Let's just call it a stop. Okay, we're almost done, and it's only taken 22 minutes. Goodness gracious. Okay, bullish cross, air, pullback. Guess what? The entry is right there. Okay, 1355.75. See that? There's the entry. The drawdown on that thing would be from 55.75 to 54. 1 3/4 points drawdown. So you might have stayed in the trade here, but unless you took the trade off right there, then it did a double dip, okay? And on that second dip right here, 55.75 to 53 1/4, you got stopped out by 2 ticks. Follow me? You're like, why is this guy showing us all these trades that would have got stopped out? Somebody's got to be honest with you. Right? Am I right? Well, no, nobody has to be, but we choose to be. Fair enough. Okay, let me show you one more. Bearish cross, pull back. Nothing to even measure. Stopped out 2 points. You never get stopped out for more than 2 points though. Not using this indicator set and the methodology that we teach you. Alright, here's a pullback to 56. Bullish cross, pullback to 56 1/4. That's the trigger line. We're in the trade, and it runs up to 61.75 so far. 1361.75 minus 1356 1/4. That's 5.5. 5.5. Now, you might ask yourself, hey, if I get 2 3/4 points and 5.5 points, except we already discussed you're not going to get all of that. So let's say I get 2 and 5. That's 7 points. Okay, and I got stopped out here 3 times in a row. That's 6 points. But I did manage to get a couple over here. So you got 1 point over here and you got a couple over here. What's that, 3 out of all this? What do you call that? A very good living. No, I'm serious. Do we have other tools and indicators that help you filter some of these trades? Yep. Will some of those tools filter out some of the good trades? Yep. Why am I telling you that? Because that's truth about trading. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow morning in the live trading room. If you haven't taken the free trial yet, what's holding you back? CFRN.net/apply. See you in the trading room.